Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today's topic, we're discussing the initial investment needed to start your land flipping business. I'm your host, Daniel Apke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured Discord members. Today's question is from Leanna. Leanna asked, can you build a driveway in a flood zone? It's actually off a main road and the flood zone goes across the road as well. This is a commercial lot in Texas.
Really good question, Leanna. I know I answered this in Discord as well, but I wanted to bring this on the podcast because I think it's a good question. Yes, you almost always will be able to build driveways in flood zones, just like you have put sheds, stuff like that in flood zones. The issue with flood zones are when you're building like living structures. Wetlands is a different story. Wetlands can be a lot more difficult to build driveways in because a lot of times they're wet year round. But flood zones, 9 out of 10, probably 99 out of 100 times, you're going to have no issue building a driveway, unless it's wetlands as well, Dan. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, if it's wetlands too, you might have an issue. You got to look. Every wetland's a little bit different. Some aren't standing water. Some you could build up a little gravel and put it across that little area. So you got to look at your situation if it's a wetland for sure. Other than that, let's get into the show. Today's topic, the initial investment needed to start your land flipping business. So let's talk about, Ron, how our business works and just in general, where the expenses come from. Before we dive into the numbers, let's just break down our expenses as land flipping and land investing companies. Where's our money going?
Yeah, really good question. And so it kind of starts with the data, I think, Dan. So we need a list of property owners to send mail to, or I guess we're going to get to the mail in a second. But we need a list of property owners. So data is not free. You could potentially get that for free from directly from counties. That is extremely difficult, and the quality of data is very poor when you do that typically. So if you're using a data site like we use Data Tree, you're going to get charged per record that you pull. And then you have the mail aspect. So for each of these people, we teach direct mail. So you're sending direct mail to these property owners. You have mail, direct mail cost. And then on the back end, you have a lot of software, whether you're using MapRate, a mapping service, whatever that is, those are going to be your expenses and some other software stuff. But the bulk of costs in this business are direct mail and then data, I guess, secondary. But those are probably 90% of your expenses, I would say, Dan.
Yeah, so what Ron's saying is acquisitions. Almost all of our money, 95% of the initial investment you need to start goes towards acquisitions, getting the data, getting your records, and sending out mail or texting or whatever. You got to find a way to acquire properties. You got to find a way to reach out to sellers. Reaching out to sellers is not free, whether it's your time or your money, whether you're hopping on a phone call with them yourself and calling hundreds of people, or you're sending out text or you're sending out mail. It's expensive. You can look at your time as money too, because that's just what it is. But that's where all the money comes in. Like mail is expensive. Mail is 60 something cents, mid 60s, 64, 65 cents right now for 2 envelopes or 1 envelope, 2 pages, stamp, all of that good stuff, and then data as well. So almost all the money in this business is going towards your acquisition. So we want to, like, that's how we make money. We make money in this business on the acquisition side. So we want to put most of our focus there on. But I also, you know, keeping a lean company in mind when you're starting this too. You don't want all of your expenses to go wild. There's so many services. There's so many bullcrap services out there too, Ron. Just not great services that everyone's trying to sell you on to make your life easier, whatever it is. I think having the mindset of keeping a fairly lean company, not on the acquisition side, just as everything else. Like Ron said, acquisition should be 95% of your business or more. That 5%, keep very, very lean. Don't start hiring like crazy right away. Don't get ahead of yourself and start outsourcing certain things. Like do everything yourself. I talked to Matt this morning, Ron, and that was one of his long-term goals during the next 12 months. He's like, I want to make $100,000 a month and I want to keep a very lean company. I'm outsourcing everything to the Philippines. I have VA right now. I'm going to have 3 to 5 VAs and I want to stay very, very lean. And I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, staying lean, especially at first, is the way to go. The margins are good, keeps things organized. I'd rather stay lean.
Yeah, I mean, you'll sleep better at night too if like you have a slow month and like you're cost of everything is just $10,000 versus you have 3 or 5 American employees and your cost is $40,000 a month, whatever it is. Um, so yeah, I 100% agree there, and you that's your focus, guys. Initially, your initial investment needs to go towards acquiring, period. Like, that is how you
Everything.
make money in this business is by acquiring land and reselling it. So if you have 50% of your money going towards acquisitions, your business is going to struggle because that percentage just is not enough money going towards acquisitions. So especially if you're not coming in with $50,000 in your pocket, you need that money going towards getting deals, figuring out how to get deals. And everything else, Dan, I think will fall into place. Like, you go from there, and then you can kind of add on different expenses that might make your business more efficient. But it all has to start with acquisitions.
Yeah, because you need deals and you need to make money before investing in all the other stuff you can invest in. If you're not doing that, if all your money is not going to acquisitions, look at where it is going and reconsider, what can I do with that $600 that I'm spending in this bucket if I brought that into mail or texting? That's going to increase your top line. That's going to increase your sales. That's going to increase your bottom line, your profit. That's where you want the money at first. Once you get to a certain point, like Matt was saying, then you want to look at other things. If you're making 100 grand a month, 200 grand a month, maybe hire consultants and things like that, and look at other ways to acquire and experiment more. But at first, you want all of your money going to acquisitions. That's where the money's made. And like I said earlier, start with doing everything yourself, outsource over time. Learn every single thing in the business very, very well yourself. It'll keep expenses down as well. And then you can train people over time and outsource, Ron.
Yeah, and that's why I think some people who don't come in with as much money do so well. Because some people just, and if they come in with 20, $30,000 they're willing to put in this business, they try to outsource everything immediately.
Hmm.
And it's hard to have a quality check, understand what you're teaching someone else to do, or have a quality check if you don't know how to do something yourself. I just think that initial thing, those people who come in with we're going to get the money number soon, but less money initially, do really well a lot of times when they focus, when they do what we're saying, because they're learning everything. They're trying to be lean with their business, not overly lean, but lean with everything outside of acquisitions. And they become really successful because their acquisitions blow up, and then they all of a sudden have all this money to spend on more acquisitions, and then also growing their business through other efficiencies or systems.
Yeah, you don't want to be lean in a sense where you're cutting your marketing money. You want to be lean everywhere else. Your marketing money wants to stay wide and expand over time as you learn to price, as you learn to negotiate, as you learn to text and get your systems down. Keep expanding that up, and you should be spending consistently more money than you were before, especially the first 2 years or so. But after that, like the expenses in this business, 95% of them are, like Ron said, mail, data, texting. Let's get into the prices on those, Ron.
Yeah, for sure. So mail, or I'm sorry, data is typically 10 cents per record. So you pull 2,000 records. Oh, we let's say 3,000 because 3,000 is normal per month. You're going to pay $300 per month on data, and then mail it varies. It's around 60 cents per mailer. So again, on 3,000 mailers, you're going to be in another $2,000. Let's say so that's $2,300 on 3,000 mailers. And then your other expenses, Dan, are just so low. Hopefully you're just answering the phones yourself at first instead of Pat Live or some answering service. Your other expenses, like I said, that is 95% of it. Those $2,300 you're spending in those first few months is 95%, or yeah, 95% of your expenses that you're going to have. Mail, data, acquisitions, all that stuff. And that's the most important thing. Some people send 5,000 mailers their first few months, and obviously those numbers are going to go up. We usually say 3 to 5,000, I believe.
And then the alternative route, like a lot of people are starting to look at because of the cost, is texting. But texting still is not free. It's much more cost effective, but not as efficient as mail from our experience. So you can still get deals. I know people who only get deals from texting. Someone we're interviewing, I think, going to be on the podcast in the next couple weeks, have only gets deals from texting. They get good sized deals as well. But texting is, we use launch control. Launch control is $500 a month, Ron. Is that right?
Yes.
Plus, that's monthly, and you're not, you can cancel any times, but that gives you like 10,000 text a month. And so you have that, plus you still have the data, because where are you going to get the county records from? You got to pull the data. So you're still at 10 cents plus 600. So texting's not free, but it is a cheaper way to get involved if you're trying to grind some gears or just grind some deals. I mean, that's not a horrible way to start if you have much lower capital. But that being said, mail's been the bread and butter for a long time. It works the way we have blind offers. It's yes, it's expensive at 65 cents per piece of mail, but you'll get deals. And it's just about staying consistent with that and buying into the marketing and really just believing in it, and you'll get deals.
Yeah, for sure. It's a long game, guys, in terms of you do this consistently for 3 months, and that's not even really long. But you do it consistently for 3 months, you're going to make money in this business. It's when people aren't consistent or people quit after the first month. But yeah, for sure. It is a big investment in those acquisitions. But with our average margin, Dan, being 20,000, 25,000, and growing, like that $2,300 spent on mail and data to get a deal doesn't sound that crazy, really.
People's first deals are getting expensive. Like I was looking at our CRM with deal funding things today
Mhm.
or the other day, Ron, and like the first deals that these people are getting that just joined are getting up there. Like we're not getting a lot of 10, $20,000 properties. We're just not submitted to us, which is cool because we're getting a lot of 50, 40, 50, 60, $100,000 properties submitted to us. Even like Ron Lucas, who just joined a few months back, just submitted a couple deals, I believe. Ron, what were the size of those?
I think one was buy for 36, sell for like 80, and one was maybe buy for like 50 and sell for 100. And that was on 1,200 mailers. That was one county on 1,200 mailers.
But he sent multiple counties and then he hits one like that, but he's done some other deals as well, I believe. But yeah, no, that's just an example of the sizes that are coming from someone brand new. So the margins are there. Like if you can make $20,000, upwards of $20,000 and more on one deal, the math makes sense for the mail. It's just if you have the upfront capital to do it, that's the way to go. If you don't, look for alternatives, cold calling, texting, all the business model's the same, guys. It's buying undervalued market land and reselling it for more. How you get that is irrelevant. We have the most, we've experimented around with the most effective and efficient ways to doing it, and we experiment around with a lot of non-effective and efficient, like cold calling or and those sort of lead gen services, Ron. But I think overall, if you have the capital to come in and buy into mail, that's the way to go, and then look out for alternatives if not.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you said, texting is from what we've seen less effective, and it takes more operational time, but it is much cheaper to get a deal maybe for that. But it just varies where you guys are coming in. That initial investment, I guess we're gonna get into that here in a minute, huh, Dan?
Yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, so initial investment, guys. So we kind of talked about $2,300 for 3,000 mailers. I like people coming in with at least 2 to 3 months worth of that. So anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 is a very normal starting point. That's going to get you through 3 months of mail. And what I tell everyone is, ideally, those 3 months of mail is going to yield you deals to reinvest in the company forever after those 3 months. That initial investment is just to kind of get your feet off the ground in this business, get your first one, two, three deals, whatever it is. And then from there, like you should be a profitable business, honestly, Dan. After that, in terms of at least with equity, maybe not with money in your bank, but with equity, because you have acquired some deals, you have some deals that are going to make you 40, $50,000, whatever it is, and you have significant equity in your company. So yeah, I usually like 2 to 3 of those months. Whatever you plan on sending out in terms of mail, whether it's 2,500, 3,000 a month, try to have 3 of those months lined up and just have in your mind, like if you're doing 5,000 mailers a month for the first 3 months, let's say that costs $3,500. You need to be willing to put $10,500 into this business and just almost not imagine it's gone, but just like be willing to do it. And you can't stop till you get there, honestly.
Exactly. And then on top of that, once you do get these deals, we have a program called deal funding where it's where you submit a deal to a deal funder or ourselves. They underwrite the deal and you get the deal paid for. So a lot of people coming in are looking at this business. They're like, how much do I need for my first deal? The money's not going to your first deal typically. If you have that extra money, great, you can use it, but that's going to limit you from scaling up. Eventually, you're going to need deal funding. We just had a whole episode on that released yesterday, Ron, on deal funding. But yeah, if you haven't heard that, go back and listen because that's what we talk about. Don't use your money on deals, use your money on marketing because that's how you get deals, get financing for the deals. It's zero risk financing. Split it's based on a profit split and you can scale up tremendously with it. And that's kind of the way to work is put all your money into that, build up your equity, start paying for your own deals over time, but at first get deal funding.
Yeah, I mean, we could add up a few other expenses, guys, but like we said, like 95% of these expenses that we're talking about, or the expenses of that initial investment, are going to be in acquisitions, which is mail, data, and pretty much that's it, honestly. So there will be a couple $100 here and there per month, whatever it is. Like we said, try to be as lean as possible those first few months, especially, and then scale up from there once you get that profit, once you become a profitable business. But yeah, I think having 3 months of mail, not necessarily ready to go, but the funds for 3 months of mail is a very, very good spot to be.
I agree. That's all I really had, Ron. Anything you want to add to this episode?
No, I don't. I think, yeah, like I said, 4 to 7,000 dollars, I think is a very normal amount to start with. After education, if you are going the education route, but yeah, that's my biggest suggestion is just have that in the back of your mind, like what that is, and then divide that into 3 months of mail.
Exactly. Put all your money into acquisitions. If you're not, evaluate your business, see what percentage is going to acquisitions and evaluate, and then take the other buckets and put it in acquisitions to get your best return, I think, Ron. As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.